Today, we remember something that happened 80 years ago. A day of remembrance, the 27th day of the month of Nisan, a week after Pesach, a week before Yom HaZikaron, the memorial day for Israel's fallen soldiers, Yom Hashoah. Shoah is Hebrew for catastrophe. Yom Hashoah, v'higei vura, the day of the catastrophe and heroism. Yom Hashoah marks the anniversary of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, 19 April 1994, 1943 to 16 May 1943. This day was chosen by the Knesset in 1953, a day we commemorate as individuals and communities something that is specific to the Jewish Shoah. Unlike so-called Holocaust Memorial Day, which has been extended to include many such events, but the Shoah is unique in the annals of human history. Never in history, never in the history of humankind has a plan to annihilate an entire ethnic people been planned and executed by a nation against those not at war with it. People who were sought out for death even beyond the borders of that nation. I would highly recommend to you Denial, a movie with Rachel Weisz. It's a powerful portrayal of the evidence of the Holocaust, which so many today choose to either ignore, desire to obliterate, or simply dismiss. Also, more recently, a TV production titled Nuremberg. The Shoah was intended by the evil men who devised it in that leafy suburb in Berlin to destroy the Jewish people, the Jewish nation. They weren't the first, and certainly they have not been the last, but they calculated and planned to break the chain of Jewish continuity going back to Abraham and Sarah. Jewish family reunions find many missing: cousins, nieces, nephews, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, those who will never be. It was calculated and planned. And although the Shoah did not succeed in its goal, it did erase as many as 4 generations in many families, from great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, and children. Few of us have relatives who were alive in Europe during that period. Genealogical projects in places like Yad Vashem encourage the chain of Jewish continuity, reforging it for present and even future generations. What does the Shoah say to us in 2026? Some years ago, distinguished Holocaust scholar and author Yehuda Bauer stood before the German Bundestag in 1998, this was, and declared that 3 commandments should be added to the 10 words of Torah. The first, you shall not be a victim. The second, you shall not be an oppressor. And the third, you shall never be a bystander. Elie Wiesel has commented in a similar vein, we must always take sides. Neutrality helps the oppressor, never the victim. Silence encourages the tormentor, never the tormented. More than 80 years after the end of the darkest chapter in human history, we still have cause to pray and vow never again. Anti-Semitism is on the rise throughout the world, and here in the UK, Israel's integrity is disparaged daily and popularly without thought. In the Holocaust's aftermath, the international community responded by adopting conventions and resolutions for the crime of genocide, all in response to the atrocities committed against us in particular during World War II. And yet, clearly, nations and societies should do more than condemn others or stand by while Jews are once again subject to such hatred as they are doing in this country. We ask, hasn't the world learned anything? The answer is, unfortunately, too obvious. Even when the UN declared January 27th International Day of Commemoration of the Memorial of the Victims of the Holocaust, what happened to us was sidelined. If the idea was to call for a remembrance of past crimes against the Jewish people, and with the purpose of preventing them in the future, why are Jews seemingly outside the mandate for remembrance? And what about Holocaust education? In the UK, Holocaust education is less and less part of any curriculum. In Europe, it's mostly untaught and often unknown by those born during the last 30 years or so. Interestingly, Germany has just begun a project to see that more school children visit and hear about the concentration camps. In countries around the world, nations like Japan, China, and India, which incidentally have the largest populations, China and India, in the world, the history of the Holocaust is neither taught nor discussed, the attitude being that it has nothing to do with them. Why are there no serious academic programs that educate students about the Holocaust? Studies made on Holocaust education have found that the most meaningful and effective way to educate is through one-on-one conversations with survivors. I personally have had many of these over the years, but fewer and fewer survivors are around to do this in person. First-hand testimonies are both profound and transformative, which is why the extremely underfunded Jewish Museum in London has recorded narratives of survivors. We must learn from the heroism and the courage of those like Raoul Wallenberg, the Swedish diplomat in German-occupied Hungary, who saved the lives of nearly 100,000 Hungarian Jews. Recent Shoah revelations have stunned even the scholars who thought they knew all about Germany's genocide against our people. Now we know that this most unspeakable of crimes, the genocide of the Jewish people, was more than a triumph of evil. It was the sin of the so-called innocent civilians. The scope of the Shoah is now being revised as well. It isn't just the huge killing centers whose names we speak with horror. Auschwitz, Belzec, Bergen-Belsen, Buchenwald, Dachau, Majdanek, Ravensbrück, Sobibor, Treblinka. Researchers at the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum have released documentary evidence that there were more than 42,000 Nazi ghettos and camps throughout Europe. More of these were in the making for North Africa between 1933 and 1945. A total of 30,000 slave labor camps existed, along with 1,150 Jewish ghettos and 980 concentration camps. The mind boggles. 1,000 prisoner of war camps, 500 brothels filled with sex slaves, and thousands of other camps used for euthanizing the elderly and infirm, performing forced abortions, Germanizing prisoners, or transporting victims to killing centers. Using current information, we now know that between 15 and 20 million people died or were imprisoned in sites controlled by Germany. These figures force us to face the absolutely crucial truth about the Shoah. There were no innocent bystanders. After the war, trials focused on a few perpetrators who were seen as mad, obsessive, cruel, even unbalanced. But it is necessary to recognize that the so-called cultured, educated, enlightened, liberal, refined, religious, sophisticated citizens of Germany and the countries in which the Shoah was perpetrated must share in the shame of a world which acquiesced, which, yes, accepted the triumph of evil. We have heard from citizens of these countries. Oh, they say, we had no idea what was happening. I've heard it myself. But the truth is that almost everyone had to have known. These people rationalized their silence. As Elie Wiesel wrote, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. The opposite of art is not ugliness, it's indifference. The opposite of faith is not heresy, it's indifference. And the opposite of life is not death, it's indifference. Martin Niemöller, 1892 to 1984, a prominent German Lutheran pastor, admitted that in the 1920s and early 1930s, he sympathized with many Nazi ideas and supported radical right-wing political movements. After Hitler came to power in 1933, Niemöller became an outspoken critic of Hitler's interference in the Protestant church. He spent the last 8 years of Nazi rule from 1937 to 1945 in Nazi prisons and concentration camps. Niemöller is perhaps best remembered for his post-war confession, quoted as a poetic version of his speech by the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. His words: "First, they came for the socialists, and I did not speak out because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me." Can we learn from history? Although human beings may hope to learn from history, history shows that we will not. When humanity abandons the instructions and commandments of God in order to follow his own evil inclination, humanity is left to the mandate and authority of that evil inclination and of Hasatan, and his future is damnation. A survivor of Auschwitz-Birkenau penned these words in 2015. "I know now that anti-Semitism is an eternal given. It rushes in waves along with the crises in the world, the words, the monsters, and the means of every era. Anti-Semitism will never disappear. It is too deeply rooted in the world." This survivor said of her experience in watching the Twin Towers disintegrate in 2001 that everything became clear as the illusions I still had fell from me like dead skin. I don't know if that horror reawakened the other horror, but from that day on I felt how much it meant to me to be a Jew. It was as if up until that day I'd been avoiding the fact that being Jewish is the strongest thing about me. So we remember. Felix L. Sparks, Brigadier General, retired, Australia, led the liberation of Dachau. And this is part of his personal eyewitness account. During the early period of our entry into the camp, a number of men, all battle-hardened veterans, became extremely distraught. Some cried, while others raged. Some 30 minutes passed before I could restore order and discipline. During that time, over 30,000 camp prisoners still alive began to grasp the significance of the events taking place. They streamed from their crowded barracks by the hundreds and were soon pressing at the confining barbed wire fence. They began to shout in unison, which soon became a chilling roar. After about 10 minutes of screaming and shouting, the prisoners quieted down. We informed them that we could not release them immediately, but that food and medical assistance would arrive soon. The dead, numbering about 9,000, were later buried with the forced assistance of the good citizens of the city of Dachau. Private Harry Harder, USA, gave his account of the liberation of Buchenwald. Slowly, as we formed up, a ragged group of human beings started to creep out of and from between the buildings in front of us. As we watched these men, the number and different types of buildings came to my attention. From them came these human beings, timidly, slowly, deliberately, showing their hands, all in a sort of uniform or bits and pieces of a uniform, made from horribly coarse cloth with strips running vertically. The stripes, alternating a dull gray with a dark blue. Some of these human beings wore pants made of that material. Some had shirts or jackets. Some had hats. Some had only one piece of the uniform. Others had two. Many had all three parts. They came out of the buildings and stood there, making me feel foolish with all of that firepower hanging on me. I certainly wouldn't be needing it with these folks. It was then that the smell of the place started to get to me. Our noses rebelling against the surroundings they were constantly subjected to were not functioning anywhere near normally, but now there was a new odor, thick and hanging, and it assaulted the senses. We still had no idea what this place was. Sergeant Blowers told us that some of the prisoners spoke English. Then he got even quieter, looked at the ground for a moment, raised his eyes, and looking over our heads, he began very softly, so softly we could barely hear him. He told us that this was what was called a concentration camp, that we were about to see things we were in no way prepared for. He told us to look as long as our stomachs lasted, and then to get out of there for a walk in the woods. I'd never known him to be like this. The man had seen everything I could imagine that could be seen, and this place was having this effect on him. I didn't understand. I didn't know what a concentration camp was or could be, but I was about to learn. The bodies of human beings were stacked like cordwood, all of them dead, all of them stripped. The stack was about 5 feet high, maybe a little more. I could see over the top. They extended down the hill, only a slight hill, for 50 to 75 feet. Human bodies, neatly stacked, naked, ready for disposal. The arms and legs were neatly arranged, but an occasional limb dangled oddly. The bodies we could see were all face up. There was an aisle, then another stack, another aisle, and more stacks. The Lord only knows how many there were. There appeared to be skin covering bones and nothing more. I have since seen the movie made about Buchenwald. The stack of bodies is vividly displayed in the movie, just as I saw it that first day. But it is not the same. In no way is it the same. The black and white film did not depict the dirty gray-green color of those bodies. And what it could not possibly capture was the smell. General Dwight D. Eisenhower knew that one day people would deny that the Holocaust ever took place. So he sent camera crews into the camps to record what few living today have seen. He arranged to tour Ohrdruf and Buchenwald with General Omar Bradley and General George Patton. He ordered American soldiers in the area who were not on the front lines to visit Ohrdruf and Buchenwald so that they could be witnesses. He ordered citizens of the town of Gotha to personally tour the camp. Having done so, the mayor and his wife hanged themselves. Eisenhower wrote to his wife Mamie, "I never dreamed that such cruelty, bestiality, and savagery could really exist in this world." He cabled General Marshall, suggesting that he see these camps for himself and bring congressmen and journalists with him. He ordered that all civilian news media and military combat camera units be required to visit the camps and record their observations in print, pictures, and film. His worst fears have come true. With growing hatred of Israel and of Jews, more and more people today deny that the Holocaust ever happened, rejecting written and photographic evidence. When leaders express doubt about the numbers killed in the Shoah or the statistics recorded concerning the Shoah, remember that General Eisenhower took steps to stop their lies. Don't be afraid to speak the truth about what really happened, and don't let anyone get away with saying in your hearing that the Holocaust is a myth or an exaggeration. The following prayer was written by Rabbi J. Harlow. Adonai, Master Creator who set the round course of the earth, Creator who caused veins, brains, and bones to grow, who fashioned us air that we might breathe and sing. Remember that we are incomplete and inconsolable, our vision clouded by ashes. Remember the chimneys, the ingenious habitations of death, where part of Israel's body drifted as smoke through the air. Remember the mutilated music of their lives. We lament in fields of loneliness for 6 million of our number, torn away. Remember them. There are some who have no memorial. They are perished as though they had never been. Forget them not. Remember the landscape of screams engraved at entrance gates to death. Remember the unborn dreams. Remember the terror of children whose tears were burned. Remember the agony of parents whose blessings were consumed. Remember the prayers of the dying, the shame and suffering of the innocent. Remember, we have not forgotten you, though all this has befallen us. Remember the God-forsaken millions in a silent world. Their loneliness was matched only by yours. Who is like you, Adonai, among the silent, remaining silent through the suffering of your children? Are you not God, Adonai, that we may hope in you? Renew the light of your creation, which has been dimmed. Renew in your creatures your image, which has been desecrated. Restore the covenant which your people have maintained. Remember the hopes of the slain by sending redemption to your shattered world. In spite of everything which strangles hope, help us to continue the sustaining song of their lives. And so today, we remember those who died, some with faith, some without faith. Individuals with names and families, homes, jobs, aspirations, and hopes forever destroyed. The words from Tehillim 83 come to mind. O God, do not keep silent. Be not quiet, O God, be not still. See how your enemies are astir, how your foes rear their heads. With cunning they conspire against your people. They plot against those you cherish. Come, they say, let us destroy them as a nation, that the name of Israel be remembered no more. Cover their faces with shame, so that men will seek your name, O Lord. May they ever be ashamed and dismayed. May they perish in disgrace. Let them know that you, whose name is the Lord, that you alone are the Most High over all the earth. Let us meditate on these words from Yeshayahu 54. God's promises to us, the people of Israel. Though the mountains be shaken and the hills be removed, yet my unfailing love for you will not be shaken, nor my covenant of peace be removed, says the Lord, who has compassion on you. All your sons will be taught by the Lord, and great will be your children's peace. In righteousness you will be established. If anyone does attack you, it will not be my doing. Whoever attacks you will surrender to you. No weapon forged against you will prevail, and you will refute every tongue that accuses you. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and this is their vindication from me, declares Hashem. We remember. Am Yisrael Chai. Shalom.